Welcome to Fantasy Booking. This is the series where I show how I would book an angle or a wrestler or even a pay-per-view. Today, we will be looking into how I would book CM Punk's return in WWE. Punk recently said that he would be down to return to either WWE or AEW if there is a good storyline or the stupidest amount of money. Since I don't have the stupidest amount of money, I proposed a fantasy booking of a good storyline for Punk in AEW. Today, we will be looking into the other side of the coin. What if WWE offered Punk a lot of money, or better, this storyline? Alright, let's begin. So I don't think there is any other place for Punk to return, except Royal Rumble. Punk returns to a huge pop at number 30. And he actually wins the whole thing. CM Punk finally wins the Royal Rumble, and he will be headlining WrestleMania, something that he wanted to do, and was a huge factor for which he walked out of WWE in the first place. First, I thought him against Roman Reigns could be the main event of WrestleMania, but I don't want heel Reigns to lose his championship to a veteran such as Punk. He should lose to a new up-and-comer, like Big E or Cesaro. So, at WrestleMania, we will have Drew McIntyre vs. CM Punk for the WWE Championship. Of course, Punk will be winning the match, and will be capturing the WWE Championship. McIntyre will get his rematch at Money in the Bank, but will be unable to capture back his championship. Also, Shinsuke Nakamura wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. This leads next to Backlash, where Orton will be challenging Punk for the World Championship. Even through Orton's best efforts, while trying to hit a Punk kick on Punk, Punk reverses it to a GTS and wins the match. At Extreme Rules, there is a triple threat elimination extreme match among Orton, McIntyre and Punk. In the match itself, McIntyre manages to eliminate Randy after a Claymore, but 2 GTS are enough to finish McIntyre. Punk again retains his title. However, after the match, Lesnar makes a surprise return and beats up Punk, setting up their match for SummerSlam. During the build-up of this match, Paul Heyman reminds Punk that Lesnar has already defeated Punk once, and while Punk was getting his ass handed to him in MMA, Lesnar was breaking records and becoming multiple times world champion in WWE. Punk fires back by saying that during Punk's record-setting 434 days reign, he defended the title more times than Lesnar has in the last 5 years. He is and always has been the greater champion, and the greater wrestler. This does stay true, as Punk defeats Lesnar at SummerSlam, but because the Money in the Bank holder Shinsuke Nakamura distracted Lesnar. This leads to a Nakamura vs. Lesnar match down the line. After Lesnar, the next opponent for Punk turns out to be the phenomenal AJ Styles for Payback. This is a dream match that I believe everyone in the wrestling universe would like to see. AJ says that in Punk's absence, he became the best in the world himself, and that Punk is nothing compared to the phenomenal one. Punk says that almost everything AJ has done, he has done before AJ. This match is set up for Payback. There, Punk makes AJ tap out after getting him in the Anaconda Vice. Next up is the draft. The only important thing to note is that Shinsuke moves to SmackDown while Kevin Owens moves over to Raw. Speaking of Owens, he will be facing Punk for the title at Clash of Champions. This, again, is a dream match. In the match, when Kevin goes to hit a pop-up powerbomb, Punk rolls him up and wins with the surprise roll-up. Kevin gets another match inside the Hell in a Cell structure at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. This is a brutal match, where Kevin and Punk do everything in their power to win the match. In the end, Owens passes out after Punk gets him in the Anaconda Vice. Punk wins the match after a great, physical 25-minute match. Then, however, the lights go out. They come back on, and the Fiend is in the middle of the ring. As Punk and Fiend have a stare down, a person wearing a sheep mask attacks Punk from behind. After beating Punk up, the person takes down his mask, and it's John Cena. Cena makes his return after aligning himself with the Fiend. At Survivor Series, a match is made between John Cena and CM Punk for the WWE Championship. During the entire build-up for the match, Cena doesn't say a word, but Fiend speaks on Cena's behalf. At the event, Cena wrestles heel and absolutely beats up Punk. Fiend's influence has corrupted the mind of John Cena. Cena wins the match after hitting his sister Abigail, and becomes the 17-time world champion. After the match, Cena beats up and puts Punk through to announcer's table. Then, he gives the title to the Fiend, who now becomes the new WWE champion. Yes, John Cena's 17th World Championship reign lasts just a few minutes. After this, Punk goes out of action for 2 months. At TLC, the Fiend faces Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship, and, of course, the Fiend wins in a dominating fashion. Next up, at Royal Rumble, Jeff Hardy faces the Fiend, and also that match is a dominating win for Fiend. In the Royal Rumble match, CM Punk returns and enters the Rumble at number 2. He lasts all the way to Final 4, with Cesaro, John Cena and Edge. Cena eliminates Punk, however, which ends Punk's over 1 hour effort to win the Rumble. The Rumble is won by Cesaro, who will face Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania 38. Punk, next, enters Elimination Chamber in order to get the opportunity for getting his rematch for the WWE Championship. He enters the chamber at number 1, and wins it entirely. He will be challenging the Fiend for the championship at WrestleMania. At WrestleMania, Punk falls victim to the Fiend, and after this, Punk goes on to have some dream feuds with Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole, Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, and even Edge. And, that is it. That is how I would book CM Punk's WWE return in 2021. Let me know if you enjoyed it and what to rebook next in the comment section below. Be sure to like, share and subscribe, that will help out the channel a lot. Thanks again, see you in the next one.